You can enjoy Tastes of the Caribbean at a new restaurant in East Austin.
How about enjoying a little taste of the Caribbean right here in East Austin?
This is one of the hottest restaurants in town right now.
Well, an East Austin restaurant is getting some national recognition.
It is
Canje.
Canje.
Canje. Canje.
Canje.
It's Canje.
Welcome to the Unruly Chef Network. Today we have a special guest. I'm actually in Austin, Texas at Canje, live in center with the main guy. So how are you doing, man?
I'm good.
Yeah,
bro.
you're
I'm
good?
good. I'm
Okay,
good. Very good.
Awesome. Thank you for having me come to your restaurant and break bread with you and obviously, do this interview. So I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Just to start off, I want to give my viewers a background of who this person is, right? So, born and raised in Georgetown, Guyana, moved to New York at 17 years old. He went to the New York Restaurant School. His culinary journey began with his aunt, I guess, cooking or baking in Guyana, right? So he was making cheese rolls, tarts, beef patties. A little birdie in my ear told me that you usually got in trouble, so that was kind of almost like a punishment for you. So I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah,
that, okay.
100%.
Got it. Moved around a lot as a child, right? So which shaped his ability to handle adversity. And I want to put a pin in that because I'm gonna come back to that, right?
Yeah.
And he's the owner and director of hospitality of Emma and Rye in the hospitality group. Just to go over some of his awards and accolades, Canje was one of the New York Times best restaurants of 2022, featured on Food Network multiple times, can't even count. 2025 James Beard Awards semifinals for Outstanding Chef. No brainer. Featured at the Yeti Culinary Stage for the 2024 Southern Smoke Festival, which he made some nice Johnny cakes.
Yeah, we have to do that.
Got you. Named one of Food and Wine Best New Chefs of 2020 and Esquire's 2024 Pastry Chef of the Year. So as you can see, I mean, the list goes on, and I'm probably leaving some things out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, New York Times, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine.
Okay.
I think, I don't know if there's any list that Canje wasn't a part of in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And also having a strong local presence. We've definitely been able to gain some recognition through Austin Monthly and The Statesman as being best of in the city.
Right.
So both national and local, we've been blessed. So it's a blessing.
So again, humble but a big dog. A big dog. And Tavel, let me just finish up. Let me just start with what he owns and the restaurants that are under his management as well. So Nicosia is a dessert restaurant. Is that in San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
And forgive me if I do butcher some of these names. Help me out.
It's all good.
He's also the owner of Emma and Rye.
Yeah.
Hestia.
Yes.
Okay, got that right. Calimox.
Calimocho.
Okay, Calimocho.
There we go.
That's interesting. What kind of restaurant is that?
That's a Spanish Basque country. So Calimocho means Coca-Cola and wine.
Okay.
And so there's a beverage in Spain that is a mixture of both.
Yeah.
And it's called Calimocho.
Calimocho. Eclectic, guys. It's an eclectic guy. Henbit.
Henbit.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And then Izov? Izov. Okay, Canje, obviously, guys. I'm sitting right here. Ladino.
Yes.
Pullman Market.
Yes.
Fifi and Faro.
Fife and Faro.
Fife and Faro. Okay. Misquit.
Mesquite.
Jesus. And Isidore.
Right, Isidore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isidore. Okay. Awesome.
You did good, man. A lot of people can't do that.
Man, listen, I sat down today and I was just like, I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to get through some of these days.
Right,
but hopefully my guy is cool. We can get through this. So awesome. But, I want to jump straight into it, man.
Yeah.
When you tear down all the accolades and all the achievements that you've done so far, who are you? Who's Tavel Bristol-Joseph at the core?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a simple man. I'm a father of twins. I love comfort. I love impact. No matter what I do in my life, impact is important to me. So whether that's through food or the social work that I do, or the giving back to society, the inspiration, the leader that I am to my team, I want to make an impact in not only my family's life, but you know, my extended, which is the people that I work with, 670 employees.
Wow. And when you say comfort, that doesn't seem like comfort to me. So what part of that is comfort?
Yeah, right. Well, comfort in the personal aspect as, you know, I love to be in spaces that makes me feel valued, seen, and appreciated.
Awesome.
So, you know, to me, that's my comfort zone. And it's just for you too, when you walk into a restaurant or you walk into a space, a doctor's office, and you feel like they curated that experience for you, it makes you at ease and makes you feel comfortable. So I tend to gravitate and create that space around me, whether that is the people that work for me and with me, people that I know, that I love, that I genuinely care for their well-being. That's comfort to me.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Wow. So can you walk me through, how did your culinary journey start? So I know you said, from what I've read in papers, it said, okay, it started with your aunt baking.
Yeah.
But dig deeper. I want to know a little bit more of that journey.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, so in Guyana, and I think most of the Caribbean too, your last 2 years in high school, you kind of pick the field that you're going to go into. So there's like technical drawing, communication, we used to call it commerce, home economics, and so on. And when I got to, I wasn't a student in school. So when I got to that point in which I needed to choose what field I'm going to go into, one, all the girls were in home economics. So I was like, well, that's an easy choice to me. And at that time, as a 15-year-old, that's the most important thing in my life. So I was like, that's the direction I'm going to go in. And then I used to play a lot of basketball at the time. And at home, my aunt used to punish me by having me bake, like my punishment, because what happened is I lived in South, we used to go to East or West and play basketball, essentially gambling in these different neighborhoods, and I wouldn't get home until late at night. So part of my punishment with her was you're gonna help me to bake in the kitchen for Sunday school. So every Saturday, that was like the thing, like, okay, I guess you gotta do butter, you gotta grate the coconut and all of that. So I was like, after a while, I just got to a place where I was like, man, I might as well love this, because I actually love playing basketball more than this. So this is like, I'll deal with it. And then you kind of got good at it, as I just kind of, like, I was actually interested, and I love sweet stuff. I love sugar. So making pound cakes and pine tarts and buns and all that, that was part of like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do it. And then so after that happened, then the school, at the same time, me having to make that decision, to me it just made sense to do it. And to be honest with you, at the time, I never thought of myself like, oh, I'm gonna be a chef one day. Because in the Caribbean, we don't have, you know, that type of inspiration. We're talking close to 20 years. We ain't had that type of, there's no chef that we looked up to and wanted to be like, right? And there's no jobs in the Caribbean, in Guyana for sure, where chef was on this platform. Chef was always the help, right? And so I didn't know where that was gonna go, but I knew that this was what I liked doing until I came to America. And even then, I still wasn't sure. Went to culinary school and saw the prestige, saw the respect that the chef got in the kitchen and how he orchestrated and motivated and inspired. I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be a leader. And interesting enough too, so when we talk about a chef, and correct me if I'm wrong, so were you baking first, like as a, would that be called a baker? Or what's the name for that? So pastry. Okay, pastry. So even with pastry, I know the room for error is very slim. So you can't go and say, all right, well, it's in the oven, let me take out the sugar because it's too much sugar. You see what I'm saying? So how, you know, making that transition from a pastry chef to even be, was that a hard transition to be a chef? Or when you start cooking and being a chef, it was so easy because the room for error in being a pastry chef was a lot more slim compared to actually a chef? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question there, because it's easier for a pastry chef to be a savory chef. It's harder for a savory chef to have the ability to switch into pastry.
Right.
It's just a few that can do it.
Right.
To me, the reason why it's easier for a pastry chef to make that transition, because we understand the science of cooking already. We research the science, leveling agents and all of those things. The attention to detail is just as important, right? Like we are literally doing surgery with food in a sense.
I like that.
Because temperature, time, everything matters. Versus in savory, it's a little bit less. Like they are the magicians that do their thing, but for the majority, you have a lot more room to play. Time is not as sensitive,
Right.
So we're able to now navigate in those worlds a little bit better. So the transition came naturally, but I was making food that I love, right? So trying to cook Caribbean food was just my DNA. It came like easy. If you had put me in a French kitchen, it'd probably be a little bit different. I'd be, I don't know, right? But because I was in a Caribbean space, it gave me the ability, and also being around, my other business partners who are chefs also, and watching how they create and develop, I picked up a lot of things along the way.
Got you. So I'm gonna say something right now. And how did the national bird of Guyana land right here in Austin? And tell the audience what that national.
Right. Yeah. So Canje is the national bird in Guyana.
Okay.
And when I was thinking about names for the space, I wanted something that was strong, that meant deep, that means deeply, and I also wanted a name that was easily remembered, and that it was something that people can just hear it and it sounds approachable. Right? Because the goal for this space was, how do I create a space that says welcome? Right? So for me, it started from the color palette, it started from the name, it started since there before you even walk into the space. So if I have a name that says Canje, it's strong, and it's also soft at the same time. There's this hidden softness that it has, and I wanted that to be the leading thing. Also, I'm from Guyana. People that are from the Caribbean, if you know kind of thing, and that was like that reason why I wanted that.
And on the topic of welcoming, right? Because I can only talk from my experience, right? This is probably the first Caribbean restaurant that I've came into where customer service, man, is top tier. The customer journey from the beginning to the end is just a beautiful experience. So even before I'm even eating the food, I'm like, wow, this is different. This is completely different from what I've experienced. And how have you integrated that into just everything that you do here and making sure that the customer is actually put forth first?
Absolutely. So coming from humble beginnings, there's something innate that is within us. Whereas outside of cooking as a whole, because everyone has food, right? Every chef walking around thinking that they're doing the best that they can possibly do. So if you're just cooking, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? Because you can throw a rock to the next restaurant around. There's more to this. And from my beginnings, I've always wanted people to be comfortable around me, because I know how it feels to be uncomfortable. I've been in that shoes many, many, many times. To this day, sometimes I'm still in that shoes. With all the accolades, I'm still sitting there sometimes. So it is very important for me to create a space where you never feel the way I felt. And that's one of the reasons why I opened Canje. Is because when I came to Austin, the first thing I did was Google Caribbean food. And there was one food truck that was there. And how do I take someone and show them my culture, show them where I'm from, without having to go to a food truck and eat out of a styrofoam container, right? So So the thought was in my head from the time that I moved here.
Right.
And it was just a matter of time for that to change. But in my mind, the first thing I thought was the next person that moved to Texas that has Caribbean descent, that Googles where can I eat, they need to have a place. So they don't feel that emptiness I felt.
Right.
And during the pandemic and George Floyd and all of that, when that was happening, there was a lot of people complaining about what we don't have, right? And I was one of those people that was sitting here in Austin with 3 other restaurants saying, we don't have a Caribbean representation.
Yeah.
We don't have this.
Right.
And it was like, well, you're in a position to get it done. Why not? And that's what sparked and pushed me to say, let me go right into this thing head first.
Wow.
I don't care win or lose.
Yeah.
I have to create something that leaves a mark, that leaves an impact in this community.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and I mean, you put the customer first. I mean,
Yeah.
I can only speak from my experience, and even when I look around into the room,
Yeah.
you don't only bring Caribbean people into the room, it's diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing white, you're seeing black, you're seeing Asian,
Yeah.
you're seeing, and everybody's laughing, everybody's vibing, everybody's enjoying the food.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere is almost like angelic, as I would call it. You know what I'm saying? So like
100%.
yeah, like I really applaud you for really understanding your customer base
Yeah.
and providing, again, that welcome experience to them, because again, after you could still have good food,
Right.
but when I leave here,
Right.
I'm singing the praises of like, yo man, I went to Canje, the music was a vibe, the food
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
it was the experience that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to build on that,
Right.
the challenge in starting something like that, think about opening a Caribbean restaurant with a bunch of people that have never worked in a Caribbean restaurant before, including yourself.
Yeah.
And you're making Caribbean food, and you have to buy into this culture.
Right.
So I didn't have to just do that for the guests coming in. I had that journey. It started with the cooks and getting them to a place where it's like, it doesn't matter if you from Trinidad or Guyana or Jamaica.
Right.
This is what we do here, and that's what matters,
Yeah.
because we're not traditional in no sense of the term.
Yeah.
But we are authentic. We are real to ourselves, and we're real to what we are providing for the community.
Yeah.
And we're coming from a real place.
Yeah.
And everyone has traditions. Traditions could start today, but your authenticity, why you're here and what you stand for,
Right.
doesn't change.
Yeah. And going on to my next question, again, being authentic, but also going against the grain, right? Because if you look at Canje, when you come into the restaurant, it's a blend of so many different cultures.
Yeah.
You have Jamaican food, you have Trini food on the menu, Guyanese.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So to step out of your boundary and be able to put these cultural foods together and present it to, the people that are eating it, your customers.
Yeah.
Like, I know I would be fearful. I would be fearful to say, hey, I'm about to cook something that I'm not necessarily the best at.
Right.
Walk me through that, man, because it's like, that's innovative, one, but
Right.
that's also saying, hey, I don't give a damn what people think. I'm gonna
Right.
do what I wanna do,
Right.
regardless of the outcome. And
Yeah.
obviously it's successful
Right.
now, but I'm sure you had those doubts in your
Oh,
mind, like,
absolutely.
should I do this? Should I not do this?
Yeah.
What made you make that jump?
So
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that made me make. One, it's Guyana is a melting pot. To me, it's a melting pot of the Caribbean. You have, because it's made up of 6 different cultures. Right. We got Portuguese, Asian, Amerindian, European, African, Indian. We have these cultures mixed, right? So all the food is a diversity of all of that.
Okay.
So I grew up in that space already. And when I came here and I was like, okay, cool. To me, it's in business, you look at what's missing. That's the first thing you look at. And then you say, okay, if the demand is this, then I can bring something forward that makes sense. So there's a lot of in the country, I would say, Trinidadian, Jamaican restaurants. I grew up in Brooklyn, so I've seen those. But there wasn't too many places that I went to that was like talking about the Caribbean experience, and they were some that had that, but what they were doing was utilizing American food and putting Caribbean twists on it, right? So everybody, I'm put a little pineapple, little mango, and that makes it Caribbean.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I was just like that. I'm not buying with that. So what I would want to do is create a space where we're actually taking dishes from a country, doing the research, looking into it, looking at what's great in that country, and then pulling it. So there's times where we could get something from St. Kitts, we can get something from St. Martin, we can get something from St. Lucia, we can get something from Barbados, the Bahamas. We can pull from wherever we want when I say Caribbean. But when you taste the food, you're not just getting a version of it. You're actually, this is a national dish of somewhere. This is, because listen, man, at the end of the day, we got to tell the story of our ancestors. Right? This is why your show is important.
Yeah.
Because if you don't tell the story, you're going to let somebody else tell your story. You have to tell the story. And we got to be able to pass this thing to the next and to the next. And I feel like that's part of my journey, right? I'm a pastry chef by trade. There's not that much storytelling in the pastry world when it comes to Caribbean, because we don't indulge in desserts like that. We do pastries. So outside of my skill, as a human, as a Caribbean man, I feel like I have a responsibility to tell the stories of my ancestors, because a lot of people died, a lot of people fought for me to be on the pedestal that I'm on. So I don't take that for granted. And if this is my story that I'm sharing, that my ancestors are gonna look back and be proud, then that's what I gotta do.
Yeah, and they're proud. I'll tell you, they're proud. They're proud. And then when you look at the menu selection and the development of your menu, I mean, what is it? Are you picking these names out the hat, or how do you build that menu? You know what I mean?
Got
because when I look at it, I'm like, okay, as a Jamaican person, I could say, all right, this makes sense. As a Trinity person, this makes sense. But again, somebody that's completely outside of the culture. Right. Walk me through that menu development.
So what we do here is we do like a research and system where we would ask one of the line cooks, like, say, you have Haiti, and I would like for you to create a dish from Haiti. And you'll write a whole talk on it. You'll make family meal that day, and we will eat that dish that you spoke about, and they'll present it to the entire staff. And that's something that we do every month.
Got you.
Some months we slow down, some months we pick it up. But we do it every month. And what it is it's great for educational purposes, and it also gives the staff an opportunity to research on dishes and come with stories. And let's say a dish like okra, right, from Haiti that came up. You're like, okay, cool. They made it. We all tried it, and then we're like, how do we make this amazing that we can now take that dish and put it on the menu? So it's not just on me to create the thing, being the Caribbean person. I have a full team of people that's doing the research, that's working, and then we're able to tweak those things and make it the best possible. That's how those dishes make it.
Yeah, and what I like too, it's like you give them room to fail and try, right? And I remember reading an article too, you had said that sometimes in the culinary space, like it's a lot of fear, right? So in the kitchen, it's a lot of fear. And it's like, I feel like you remove that barrier for the guys that you're working with, where it's like, hey, I could try something and I don't have to have that feeling like, oh, Tavel's gonna come down on me and make me feel like, okay, I'm not, worth our good chef, right? And it's like, how did you remove that kind of like dynamics from your kitchen, where it's like they don't feel fearful, they feel like they could test things and try? Yeah,
because there's no success without failure. Zero. How do you measure success if you never had a fail? So I think the people that walk around life thinking that it's all about success, they got it wrong. And most of the people that are successful has had the biggest failures. You just never hear about it. And that's, to me, what this whole journey is. So if I can take away the fear of failing from you, then the possibilities of your success now becomes higher.
Yeah.
Because now you're not, because a lot of time why people fail is anxiety and being afraid to push the boundaries, right? That's what makes them fail. It's fear of that. And I don't want to work in a space or be in a space that I'm afraid every time I walk through the door. So if I don't want it for myself, I hell don't want it for you either.
Yeah.
So let's figure it out on how we're going to get to the space and where we need to be. So we treat each other with respect. We treat each other with kindness, but there is a clear goal that we're all working for. And that's my job and my responsibility as a leader, not a manager, as a leader, to always be able to give you that clear north, clear vision on what we're working towards. So every day you walk in this building, you're inspired to get to somewhere.
Right. It's almost like biblical, like treat others the way you want to be treated. You know what I mean? So I like that. I like that. But this question is, what do you believe Caribbean cuisine brings to the global food scene that hasn't yet been fully appreciated?
I think that what Caribbean cuisine brings is very similar to Indian cuisine, which is the proper use of spices and herbs. That is what we bring, right? Cooking techniques is like the second on that, right? Because I think every culture has a image, a face to it, right? Like we know Italian is about the pastas and the utilization of farm-to-table ingredients, and we know that already. We know the French is about butter and cream and how they play with milks and doughs and things of that nature, right? We have those tap-ins. Indian cuisine is very similar to Caribbean cuisine in that sense, right? There's a lot of influence there with how we utilize coconut and herbs and stuff like that. And I think as Caribbean, like, because there's so much colonization and we could go down the rabbit hole, but because there's so many influences from the French, from all these different cuisine, we were able to take the African and all of that and cross these lines and be able to create just amazing, delicious food that utilizes some of all of those techniques, right? And I think that's, to me, we got to continue to do that. Is show people how to use herbs and spices and let it make sense.
Okay, I like that. I like that. And what advice would you give to somebody that's thinking of opening up a restaurant or something similar to like a Canje, or even other of your other restaurants as well? You know, like,
100%. I mean, one, and it sounds cliche, but don't quit, right? Sometimes things don't work when you think they're supposed to work. Sometimes you have to fight, and even you have to fight with the people that loves you the most to get to where you need to be. Because not everyone is going to believe in your vision. Just because you have a great idea, that doesn't mean it's a great idea. Taking input from others is also very important. You can't, no one gets to the top by themselves. No one is self-made. They say the term self-made. We're all not self-made. There's someone there motivating us, whether it's a wife, a husband, a friend. There's someone that inspires, a mentor, someone inspires you every day to continue to do what you're doing. So taking input from others and not being so hard-headed is right. But I think more importantly, this restaurant business, it's a business before it's a restaurant. And if you don't handle your business, you don't have a restaurant. Or you're gonna have a restaurant for a very short time. So you gotta understand your numbers, understand the business. And last but not least, treat people well. Doesn't matter how amazing your food is. If you don't have great hospitality, no one is gonna come back. Doesn't matter how good your food is. Maybe there's gonna be 5% of the people that's gonna come back because they really like that dish. But you're not going nowhere with that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and finally, if you could recommend a next chef or a restaurant to watch, who would it be and why?
Damn.
And make this as quick
That's
as
hard,
possible.
bro.
Let's see.
That's
Let's
hard.
see.
That's hard. That's very, very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
Man, I got some really cool, man. Like
Just one. Just one. I know that's a hard one.
Caribbean or just in general?
Just in general.
Oh, I think a chef that's making big waves right now is Kamari. She's in the Musket Room.
Okay.
She's from Jamaican descent. She's a pastry chef. She is one of the hottest pastry chefs right now out there.
Okay.
That's doing an amazing job. And I gotta throw one more person in there.
Okay, all right, throw it in there.
Throw one more person in there. Paula Velez. She
Okay.
just wrote a book. Another pastry chef that's doing really cool things. Like those people just inspires me, man. They just keep two amazing, strong women with great pedigree and strong cultural backgrounds that they use to help them to get to where they need to be.
Got it. I'll definitely check them out. And then, what would you want to be remembered for in this culinary world?
I treated people fairly.
Okay.
That's it. You got what you earned from me. That's it.
Wow. Well, hey. What else can I say? Man, Tavel, no, I really appreciate this interview, man. Just to sit here, hear about your experience. You know, I know that not only you're doing great things right now, but I look forward to see what you achieve in the future. And as I said, I'm gonna keep close to you, man, and really, you know, just keep following your journey, man, because it's not only inspiring to other people that look like me, but it's inspiring to myself too, to just kind of keep going, man. And what I really did like about you is that you never gave up. You never gave in. You kept climbing to higher heights every single year. Every time I go on Instagram, I'm like, man, Tavel won another award. You know what I mean? So, I really apprete you taking this time. I know you're a busy guy, but I really thank you for having this
listen,
interview.
thank you also for, you were persistent, right? And you definitely stood behind what you said. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to get on your platform, because I think your platform is Unruly Chefs. Like, you said Unruly, you got my intention,
of course,
right?
of
You already know. But I just really appreciate when a young brother is doing his thing and continuing to try to find his or her way in this space and navigate through it. I'm going to be paying attention to what you're doing.
Man, respect to that.
And you got somebody on your side that's going to support you in whatever you do. So
for sure,
I'm just a phone call away, brother.
Absolutely. You heard that, guys? Phone call away.
Absolutely.
But no, thank you.